back to the Positive Gains podcast. My special guest today is Elvin Rodriguez. You may have seen Elvin in the #1 movie on Netflix, Hustle. Elvin, how are you?
Doing pretty well, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you for being on. So you're a New York guy, right? Born and raised?
Definitely. Born and raised in New York City. Yes, sir.
Okay. So born and raised, obviously that's the mecca for basketball. You're a pretty prominent player yourself, and you were able to get a scholarship playing basketball. But what was the early life like growing up in New York? I mean, obviously tough, and you got to grow up tough, right? So, But what was that like for you growing up?
So for me growing up, it was more so just I had the hustle mentality, like especially in the basketball world, like you really got to make a name for yourself out there because everybody in New York like plays basketball, and it's such a big city that you can easily, somebody can easily come in and steal your spotlight. So you got to make sure you put on no matter what court you play on. And then like living wise, like it was pretty tough growing up. I mean, I didn't have it easy. I had two hardworking like parents. So I wasn't really around them as much growing up. So I kind of got that like independent mindset at a young age for sure.
And so then, like you said, with basketball, you got to be basically on your toes at every time. I mean, everyone's trying to take your spot because I think if you walk around New York and people ask, what do you do? I play basketball. Okay, just like everybody. But can you hoop, right? Isn't that what people ask? They want to see it. So can you talk a little bit about the mental mindset and the makeup of constantly having to bring it every day as opposed to some of the other cities that might not be accustomed to that?
Well, you just have to have it in you. Like you have to have the dog mentality and know that nobody's going to give you nothing easy in New York. Like you really got to earn it. Anywhere you go and play in New York, it's going to be a tough game and they will foul you hard and you just got to know how to play through it. Part of like me growing up in New York, I just had to keep a positive but strong mindset, because even if they found me hard, you could easily flip the switch real fast. But sometimes you got to know how to keep that composure because that just separates you from everybody else. And me just knowing that they were going to found me hard just made me a tougher player. So anywhere else I go, they like, man, this kid is tough, Yeah. So, yeah, man.
Okay. And then high school and college, so you're trying to, did you think that getting a basketball scholarship would be attainable for you, or was it just kind of a dream at one point?
At one point, it was a dream, because when I was in my first high school, my coach was like, so, I had a conversation with my high school coach, and he was like, so where do you want to go? And I told him, man, I want to go to Syracuse. I want to go play Division I. Yeah. And he was like, oh, right, well, yeah, we could try to make this happen. But what about Rochester University? Division III school at the time. So kind of like, not saying that Rochester University is a bad institution, but it's like I wanted to go higher. I wanted to play at the most high. I wanted to play at the highest level to try to get, to a pro contract or something or in the NBA. And yeah, man, it was just like, it really was a dream at first, for real. It was a dream, but, dreams come true.
And so you played at a couple different spots, right? You played in Denver. You played at a school in Oklahoma, right?
Yep.
Can you talk about the mindset from that? So now you're leaving New York, everything that you've known, and you're going to all the way to Denver, and then you transfer down to Oklahoma. Just the environment, the difference for you.
Oh yeah. I mean, Denver, there's a lot of nice people in Denver. At least when I was there, So it was kind of like different from New York. You walk around the street in New York, and you look at somebody, they gonna take it as disrespect. But out there in Denver, you look at somebody, they'll smile back and be like, "Hey, I like." And they give you a little compliment. But then the basketball side of things, I mean, yeah, like it was. Played high-level basketball at Denver, under a good head coach named Ronnie Billups at the time, who's now the assistant coach for the Portland Trailblazers. Okay. He kind of gave me like the opportunity to play there. And yeah, man, it was like really good basketball, high-level basketball. Then I transferred to Oklahoma, and I actually won a two-time SAC champion, SAC all SAC player of the year. So I mean, it was really good. And it was high level basketball there. Shout out to my coach Chris Francis. And yeah, man, it's just high level basketball, man. It's just like two similar states, I would say, Oklahoma and Denver, in the sense of the like nice people.
Okay.
So yeah.
So in the mix of that, so you get done with basketball. Were you doing the, because you was featured on The Ball Is Live with Academics, was that in between, or was that right after?
That was after. That's once I got out here to California, in which now influence for the Hoop Bus and the Venice Ball League. I'm like the influencer, and like my boy Nico, shout out to Nico. He kind of like opened that door with me and the connections that he has. So anytime like I'll play somewhere, he'll let Dunkademics know, Ballers Life know, and they'll pop out and show love. For real. Okay. Yeah.
So now you're an actor, man. I mean, you is on the basketball court, and now you've turned into an actor. So yep. Where did that come from as far as getting the opportunity to do a movie?
So I was in New York City during the pandemic when this happened, right? On the news, it was like, oh, if you leave your house at a specific time and you're not at your house, you will get arrested. Me being the basketball player that I am, I had to hoop, bro. I'm like, you know what? If I'm finna get arrested for playing basketball, so be it. Okay, whatever. So I found this one hoop on 135th and Broadway, which is a street in New York City. And I started climbing this gate, and this one guy comes up to me. He's like, hey. And I'm like, damn, it's an undercover cop. I'm like, oh, man, like, so next thing you know, I'm like, oh, my fault. No, I was just trying to play basketball. Everything's over. He's like, no. I recognize you from a tournament called Dykeman. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, he's like, you should try for this new movie called Hustle, starring Adam Sandler and Queen Latifah. So I'm looking at the guy like, okay, well, this is interesting. Like, I mean, I don't know if the word is serendipity, but
yeah,
I think that's what it was at the moment. I'm like, okay, well, all right, like I'll give it a try. We doing nothing in the house during the pandemic. Might as well, Little do I know, Kim Coleman, who casted me, gave me the call back. She was like, well, let me see you improvise, and it kind of ended up working out really well. I ended up working with a great acting coach. Her name is Noelle. Big shout out to Noelle. And yeah, man, and we ended up kicking it off, and things just started going up from there.
That might be one of the craziest stories, but inspirational stories that I've ever heard. I mean, that did not go the way that I thought you was going to tell it. Wow. Shout out to you for that, for being in the right place at the right time. Absolutely. And then having the courage to do it. Because I think a lot of people would, want to say that they want to, but getting over that hump, because like you said, really the names alone, Queen Latifah and Adam Sandler, that might be enough to scare people away.
Yup. But I feel personally like when I got to do this gig with them, it was like I almost felt like I belonged, and I was able to like really showcase to the world what I could really do, which is why I felt really good,
Yeah.
Yep.
So shooting the film, can you talk about like the set life as far as just having fun playing basketball, like what you were doing in between takes, things like that?
Yeah. So the set life was actually amazing. So my scene was authentic because it was filmed actually in Mallorca, Spain.
Okay.
So we were out there and we were working from about 6 p.m. to about 6 a.m. Just going at it. So I'm just like, wow. But the cool thing is the extras that were around, they had really good energy. So it like kind of kept me going. And big shout out to the people that were working behind the like on set, giving me these espresso shots, the coffee shots.
Yeah.
So I'm over here chugging, boop, scene, let's go. And I'm just, dunking and just, it felt comfortable because I was being me. Right. And Adam Sandler, he kind of gave me the free will to like basically say what I wanted to and add my little mix of Spanish in it, Yeah. So I would read the lines and I kind of like switch it up just a little bit. I was very grateful that they actually gave me that opportunity, just so I could like feel, free and not to worry about anything. But yeah, man.
And so obviously you said improvisation on your part. But what about the feedback I want to know about the feedback from the film, because obviously I have an idea with it being the #1 movie right now, but what are people telling you? And my second question is, was that something that you had to keep under wraps for a while? Or
Yep, I did. I did. Nobody knew that I was going to be a part of this movie, besides my family and stuff like that, of course. But it was hard, man, because it took us 2 years to make the film.
Yeah.
And obviously with the break between the pandemic, it kind of like took a lot of waiting. So it was hard just holding my tongue back, and I was just going with the flow of things, man. So it was interesting though, but yeah, it was extremely interesting. 2 years in the making. So.
And what have people told you about your role? You know, the feedback that you've gotten from your friends, family, or just, you know, random Joes?
They were in shock. They were in shock. A lot of people didn't know I could speak Spanish. So most of the questions I was getting back was that really you speaking Spanish? And I'm like, yeah, I'm Dominican. You know,
right.
I grew up in my grandparents' household and stuff like that, my parents, and kind of like all we did was speak Spanish back and forth to each other. So that was very interesting. And also, they were saying, like, at first they thought I was going to be the main character when they kind of like got into the scene. So we got them real good with that. Shout out to Juancho. But Juancho's an amazing actor too. So yeah, they were just like in shock. Really, they didn't know that I could act. I didn't even know that I could act. I tell everybody I didn't know I could act until I actually got to see the film. I'm like, whoa, hold on. I could actually pursue this. Yeah. So yeah, man, pretty much positive feedback from everybody. And yeah.
So is this going to propel you into other roles? Because that's my next question. Like, what's next for you? You got the acting bug now? Or are you looking to book other gigs?
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to booking other gigs, you know, whether that be in a series or, you know, possibly having a lead role one day. Like, that's the goal. That's what I'm working towards right now. Obviously, I'm doing like the influencing stuff out here in California, just trying to stay tapped in and involved with communities and just meeting people. So, yeah. That's pretty much what's next for me here.
Have you taken it all in yet as far as everything that's gone on so far? I mean, have you just sat back and thought about where you were back when you were a little kid hooping and as to where you're at now? Have you thought about that?
I have. And, you know, just seeing the growth and just seeing the people that I've been inspiring and the people that's been inspiring me, I feel like extremely grateful, you know, and it is at first it was a lot to soak in, but at the same time, like my journey has been like a roller coaster. And so now to like sit back real quick and really look at it, I'm not settling. I want to keep going. I want to keep on inspiring and keep, you know, sending off positive vibes to the youth and to the people out there who need motivation. Because if I feel like I could do it, and I literally came from Harlem, where, you know what I'm saying, at the time, anybody could do it, you know? And yeah, man, I just want to keep setting that standard and you know, keep pushing the fact that if you really want to do something in life, you keep doing it and believe in yourself. That's the biggest thing. Always believe in yourself. Bet on yourself, you know.
And you kind of got into the advice part. What else would you say to somebody though that you know, sees you out there and might come from a similar background? What would you tell them? Because obviously, like you say, you're making a difference right now, and maybe you weren't where you wanted to be originally. Maybe that was an NBA player, but like you said, now you're an influencer, you're doing movies, and doors have opened. So what advice would you give somebody else?
The advice that I would give somebody else is if you can imagine it, then you can make it happen. When I was younger, I knew I wanted to do something on TV, whether it was playing basketball, acting, whatever it was, music. I knew I was standing in my grandma's room, and she had a blank TV, and I would stand in front of the TV and I would talk to myself because I always envisioned myself on TV. I imagined it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know at that age that I was going to be on a Netflix movie or do anything or play basketball professionally on TV. But I imagined it and I stuck to it. So my advice to anybody out there is if you can imagine it and you see yourself doing it, it's possible. You know, believe in yourself, believe in yourself. Just because you see somebody else doing it, don't feel like you can't do it. Literally, if you can imagine it, you can make it happen for sure. So.
Well, Elvin, that's great advice, man. I appreciate you being on today, taking the time out of your busy day.
Absolutely.
Again, shout out to you for killing it, in your role in the movie. Seems like great things are bound to happen for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me. Man. Yep.